Okay, so this is an impromptu video for those wonderful people at home. You see, we have a big test this week. This Friday, you guys are going to be taking a ginormous test, like, I don't know, almost 50 questions. That's probably like just 40. But 40 is pretty big, especially the type of test that you're going to take. It's going to be over 3 units, and there's a lot of fill in the blank. There's some short answer, and there's some others. So I want to make sure I put this video out there for folks at home to watch it a bunch of times to get all the material. So here we go. I'm going to go through the entire test, all 40 questions of it. I'm not going to tell you what the answers of each one of them, but what to look for the 40 questions. So, for instance, the very first 11 questions are fill in the blank. Why? Because you should know this stuff. This is the old stuff. This is the stuff from yesteryear. This is 11 questions that should be right there in the brain cells. So, what invention led to slavery? Cotton gin. What happened when Lincoln was elected the first time? The succession of the southern states. What was the first battle of the Civil War? It was Fort Sumter, of course. What was the act that caused bleeding Kansas? Kansas-Nebraska Act. What was the discovery that led to less people dying? It was bromine. What was the thing that was more accurate and caused more amputations and death in the battlefield? The mini ball. So these are the things you're looking for. You're looking for this idea that what were the three logistical advantages the North had? We had trains. We had more factories, and we also had more telegraphs. So this right here is what you need to know. The old stuff, like what's the difference between the 13th Amendment and the Emancipation Proclamation? 13th Amendment freed the slaves at a federal level. The Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves just in the Confederacy. What was an example of total war? Sherman's March, of course. That was an example of total war. Who signed the surrender at Appomattox? That would be Robert E. Lee. So this is the first section. It's the old stuff. It's the good stuff. It's the stuff you should know, and it's fill in the blank. Let's go to section 2, questions 12 through 14. There's 3 multiple choice questions referring to this unit and this unit alone. You need to know about how Johnson became president. Well, Lincoln was assassinated. That's why he became president. You need to know what act led to the impeachment of Andrew Johnson. That was the Tenure of Office Act, which was basically an act that didn't allow the president to fire to fire one of his council members, one of his cabinet members, without approval of the Congress. And guess what? He broke that law and he got impeached. Tell me about that terrorist organization that grew in the South during Reconstruction. That would be the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. So that's the second section. It's 3 questions, multiple choice. The third section, questions 15 through 19, also multiple choice, has to do with the 3 presidents. There's 3 presidents in this unit that you need to know. That's Johnson, Grant, and Hayes, and know everything you can about these guys. For instance, Johnson really liked using the veto. Veto this, veto that. Johnson was also impeached, actually the first president to be impeached. You have Grant, who spent his time fighting the KKK. He sent federal troops down to the South to fight the KKK. Even though there was an economic depression during his time, during his presidency, and he had to limit the troops in the South, he still had in the South troops to protect African Americans from the KKK. Hayes, Rutherford B. Hayes, did not win the popular vote. He was one of 5 presidents that did not win the popular vote. Hayes was also known for ending Reconstruction by pulling federal troops out of the South. So know things about these 3 presidents. That's the third section. Fourth section is fill in the blank. It's basically a bunch of terms you know about this unit, like, for instance, that system of constant debt that we talked about, sharecropping. Sharecropping was a constant debt that allowed the former slave masters to keep people in bondage, even though they didn't call it slavery, they called it sharecropping. You should know about Nathan Bedford Forrest, the guy from actually last unit and this unit, who was the first leader of the KKK, the racist organization that grew up during this time period, which still exists today, as we talked about in class. You should know about black codes. These are vagrancy laws and curfews placed on African Americans in the South that prevented their freedoms on a day-to-day basis. So there's going to be 3 fill-in-the-blank questions for Section 4. Section 5, this is going to be a matching section, and this is going to have the terms, some terms that you need to know for this unit. For instance, you need to know about the Freedmen's Bureau. The Freedmen's Bureau was an organization that fed and clothed former slaves. It was one of part of the good. You remember the good, the bad, the ugly? This was part of the good. Enforcement acts, also part of the good. These were laws that prevented the KKK from doing certain things to limit the freedoms of African Americans. This is a good thing. The 14th Amendment, if you're born here, you're granted all rights as a citizen, period, point blank. It was made to protect African Americans recently freed from slavery. 15th Amendment, all men can vote regardless of race. Sorry, women, you have to wait for the 19th Amendment. But the 15th Amendment, all men can vote regardless of race. Carpetbagger were Northerners that would actually come down south during Reconstruction and make a buck. Basically, they were coming back down south. We're not in the south. Down south to make a dollar off of Reconstruction, and they were called carpetbaggers. The reason why is because they actually had these giant bags that look like giant carpets. The scallywag was a Southerner that would take advantage of Reconstruction, and then they would utilize Reconstruction to make a buck off their other Southerners. So they would take the side of the North during Reconstruction, and they would either get prominent businesses because of this or get cut deals to actually make some money. They were called scallywags. So that's the next section. The next section is fill in the blank, and it's all about impeachment. 29 through 34 on your test. Those questions, 29 through 40 34, have to do impeachment. How many impeachments have we had? 4.5. If you say 4, you're going to get it right. If you say 4.5, that's fine too. 4.5. So 4. Who has the most impeachments under their belt? Donald Trump. He has 2. One of the impeachments he got had to do with a phone call with which country? Ukraine. Which person was the half impeachment? That was Nixon. Watergate, and then he resigned. Okay, he was going to get impeached, and he resigned right before that happened. Which two-letter word was the crux, the main part of Clinton's perjury part of his impeachment? And that has to do with the word is. It was is now, or was it ever? That type of thing. Which person was the first person to be impeached? That was the only Andrew Johnson. So it's all about impeachment for questions 29 through 34. They're fill in the blank. You need to know them. Questions 35 to 38 are multiple choice, have to do with the Electoral College. So you should know the total number of points you need to win the Electoral College, which is 270. How many points does Illinois have? It's 19. How many presidents have won the presidency without winning the popular vote? That's 5. You need to know just things about the Electoral College, multiple choice for all of those. The next 2 sections are going to be a little bit more extended answers. So you have a short answer section, which is all about Newt Knight, which is part of the reading that you were supposed to do during our reading discussion on Wednesday of this week. And so make sure you know a lot about Newt Knight to answer the short answer question. And the final question is an essay question. And the essay question pertains to the Lincoln assassination, which we spent a trial on an entire day, me talking about the trial. Talking about the assassination attempt. So you should know all the players involved, not only just Booth, but Powell, Atzerodt, Surratt. You should know what they were doing, when they did it, how they did it, and part of the assassination. This is about an 8-minute video for you to watch over and 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 over again to prepare for the giant test that you're going to have on Friday. Peace out.